The knife twisted in your gut the last time they spoke over you, didn't it? Have you ever stopped to consider why they treat you like discarded trash? Why your words are trampled mid-sentence, as if they were insignificant whispers in a hurricane? Why you fade into the background, another face lost in the crowd, easily forgotten, easily overlooked? Why your very essence, your sensitivity, your pain, your most vulnerable choices are met with mocking laughter, or worse, a cold, dismissive stare? And the ultimate betrayal. Why are you used, plundered for every drop of your being, then tossed aside like a broken, useless toy? Perhaps you are the perpetual giver, the one who's always there, the unwavering yes even when your soul screams for respite, the silent peacekeeper, swallowing your truth to avoid the storm, the forgiver of unforgivable acts, even without a hint of remorse from the offender. And the reward for your relentless sacrifice? Contempt, a chilling indifference, a soul-crushing silence, a hollow echo in a vast, empty chamber. And do you know what stings the most? It's the gnawing feeling that you are deeply, profoundly disrespected. Yet, you are trapped, paralyzed by invisible chains, unable to shatter this destructive pattern. You keep accepting, keep striving to be understanding, polite, helpful, clinging to the desperate hope that one day, finally, they will see your worth. But that day remains a mirage on the horizon, forever out of reach. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And perhaps that's the insidious reason you remain chained to this behavior. Because true self-respect demands the most terrifying act of all, an honest, brutal introspection, admitting your own complicity in this tragic dance. That as long as you remain invisible to yourself, the world will gleefully follow suit, each interaction a painful reminder of your own self-neglect. This isn't another hollow pep talk or a pity party for the victimized. This is a harsh awakening, a spotlight on the root of the rot, which lies closer than you dare to imagine. If you are utterly, irrevocably done with the disrespect from friends, family, lovers, colleagues, then brace yourself. It's time to confront the agonizing truth of why this is happening, to seize control of your emotional life, to rise from the ashes of your former self. Here, we'll dissect the depths of Jungian psychology to expose why you tolerate the intolerable and how to obliterate that pattern once and for all. Because until you cease betraying your own sacred self, dignity will forever remain a distant dream. Are you ready to hear the unspeakable truth you've been desperately burying? The world isn't some random vortex of chaos. It's a ruthless mirror reflecting the raw, unfiltered truth of your inner world. And this is the bitter pill few have the courage to swallow. Do you believe people disrespect you because they are inherently cruel, selfish, devoid of empathy? Perhaps, but what you refuse to acknowledge is that they are merely reacting to the position you unconsciously assume, or rather, to the space you fail to occupy. Because every time you swallow injustice in silence, every time you accept being treated as less than, you are broadcasting a message. This is how I see myself. This is how I permit myself to be treated. Carl Jung illuminated that external reality is a mirror reflecting the unconscious. Every interaction you draw in, the insults, the dismissals, the agonizing silences, are largely symbolic embodiments of how you engage with suppressed fragments of your very being. As long as you remain blind to your innate worth, you project a distorted, fragile, insecure image onto the world, a wounded echo of your true potential. And that's the image that others perceive, the image they reflect back at you, treating it precisely as it presents itself, with indifference and disregard. This isn't about casting blame, it's about igniting a fire within, a burning need for change. Because the root of the disrespect you endure lies in the silent, unspoken agreements you've forged with yourself over a lifetime. Perhaps as a child you internalized the belief that goodness equates to silence, that acceptance hinges on perpetual compliance, that love is synonymous with utter self-subjugation. And now, as an adult, these insidious scripts run on repeat in the background, dictating every choice, every relationship, every word left unsaid. You've swallowed the lie that your value is contingent on external validation, that your worth is measured by the fleeting approval of others. And this toxic belief taints every facet of your existence, poisoning your soul from the inside out. You present yourself as inferior, not out of malice, but out of ingrained habit. A deep-seated, unconscious pattern that has woven itself into the very fabric of your being. And until you drag it into the harsh light of consciousness, this self-destructive cycle will continue ad nauseum. You can flee to new cities, chase different careers, hop from one relationship to another, but the pattern will cling to you like a persistent shadow because it resides within you, etched onto your heart. Jung declared that what is not made conscious manifests as fate. So, until you confront the distorted lens through which you view yourself, you will perpetually recreate experiences that solidify your own self-imposed invisibility. You don't attract what you desire. You attract what you believe you deserve, even if that belief festers deep within the murky depths of your unconscious mind. But there is a path to liberation. However, it begins at the most excruciating point. You must abandon the fruitless quest for external validation and begin constructing the foundation of self-respect from within. And that brings us to the question that few dare to confront, yet it dictates the entire trajectory of your emotional existence. Why are you still desperately trying to prove your worth to anyone else? This is what we will explore next. You've spent a lifetime trying to prove that you are enough. Striving to be the perfect child, the flawless partner, the unwavering friend, perpetually bending, contorting, and reshaping yourself to conform to the ever-shifting expectations of others. And what did you receive in return? Fleeting moments of approval, perhaps, but never genuine, unwavering respect. Because those who live solely to please are destined to be viewed as malleable, easily manipulated pawns in someone else's game. This is the treacherous trap of external validation, one of the most insidious and invisible forces within the human psyche. Carl Jung elucidated that the persona, the social mask we wear to gain acceptance, is both necessary and perilous. Because if you become too entangled with it, you lose sight of the authentic self beneath, the vibrant soul yearning to break free. And when that tragic disconnection occurs, you become a mere shadow of your potential. You transform into a polite ghost, a presence that pleases everyone but earns the respect of no one. The yearning for acceptance is inherent, a fundamental part of the human condition. The problem arises when this yearning becomes the compass that dictates your very identity. When you begin to gauge your self-worth by the fickle reactions of others, a compliment elevates you to euphoria. A criticism shatters you into a million pieces. And thus your self-esteem becomes a hostage, imprisoned by the capricious gaze of the external world. You desperately strive to be useful, indispensable, invaluable, clinging to the false belief that you will only be respected if you are absolutely perfect, flawlessly performing. But the truth is brutally stark. The more desperately you attempt to prove your worth, the more you inadvertently confirm to the world that you secretly doubt it yourself. People who possess genuine self-respect do not beg for attention. They do not perform favors with the expectation of reciprocal love. They know who they are, and that alone is their strength. They do not need to sacrifice their own needs to be seen, nor do they need to silence their inner voice to be liked. They are not paralyzed by the fear of displeasing others, because they understand that standing your ground can sometimes be the price of living with integrity. But to reach that point of unwavering self-assurance, you must sever the deeply ingrained belief that you need to earn the respect of others. You don't. What you desperately need is to rebuild the respect you've lost for yourself. Perhaps years ago, perhaps since the dawn of your consciousness. Only then will the gaze of others cease to be a threat, a judgment, and become merely a neutral reflection of the beautiful soul you already are. But this requires a decisive choice, a conscious act of defiance. And this choice almost always begins with an action that seems deceptively simple, yet is terrifying for those ensnared in the cycle of approval-seeking, uttering the word no. In the next part, we will dissect this pivotal moment, when you finally begin to establish boundaries and, for the first time, center yourself in the landscape of your own life. because true respect originates precisely there. When you comprehend that the seemingly insignificant word no can be the most powerful declaration of self-love. If this revelation is resonating with you, like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for sticking to the bitter end.